This is Marquise Jr. So, no, my dad did not throw in lockings. However, we were on the phone this morning and just like catching up over the weekend. I started getting excited about purpose just because I continue, I'm sure as we all do, to sometimes push what might be meant for us away. And we do it unintentionally. Like, I don't think something, if someone said $1 million is meant for you, I don't see too many people running away from that. But if the work to get $1 million is presented to you, oftentimes we will run away from that, or we'll try to coast on it. We'll do whatever we can, essentially, to not be integrated. And that integration, I think, or that like really going through it, like really making it your all, which is something that like I know myself and other people, we don't like to stress about work. I'm not even stressing shawty like that. Like, it's always something that's nonchalant. I sometimes think integration brings about pain. Integration can bring about a lot of things that we don't want before it brings out the thing that we do want. That whole delayed gratification concept. It's away from us when delayed gratification can be like months, years, or weeks on a situation that feels like it should just be hours or days. All that being said, we carry around this nonchalant attitude. Or if you're anything like me, my dad was always like, you're a leader, you're a leader, you're a leader growing up. And I remember I was always upset when he would say it, but I remember one time I was like, all right, I need to tell this guy, because I think if he knew what I wanted, maybe he would stop trying to tell me these things that I don't want anything to do with leadership. Why would I ever? First, second, third grade, you're just taking responsibility, basically. You're like, this is stupid. Never wanted to be really integrated to the responsibility to a lot of those aspects. It was tough. Like, it was just something that was always a tough pill for me to swallow. Come about, being integrated in life from a very different route, via relationships, via, really wanting to make something happen, take a risk, actually participate in some things, be integrated, right? So, anybody who knows that if you're trying to buy a home, how integrated you need to be in your finances and, the things that are going on there. Anybody knows that, if it's promotion season, right? Or you have an opportunity to skill up in your career, all of a sudden it's like, well, if I take care of that, I can get a few extra dollars. It seems, when the gratification is super close, that road, that journey or that integration doesn't really seem like too much of a task. I say all to say, though, that coming about integration a different way gave me the realization that integration really brings about purpose. And I know my dad's talked about it a lot, and it's a very large topic within our family. Like, what is your purpose? Like, what are you doing truly? And not that's just really of this world, or that's just being a participant in society. But like, what are you doing for your spirit? How are you feeding your spirit? These are conversations, questions that it's more common than hello, how are you? I miss you. But it does mean those things, because basically anytime we're starting conversation, they want to figure out how they can get integrated with me and what I'm up to, and show me that love by, hey, let's talk about it. Let me share the knowledge that I know about this area, or let me just be a listening ear. I'm going about it all to say that purpose does come from integration. If you're looking to find purpose, I say look at things and areas in your life that you want to better know. If it's like your kids, I don't have those yet. Listening to them, asking them what they're up to, rather than, we've all heard it, but, rather than trying to make them what you want them to be, see what it is they want to be on every level. They could be your spouse, your significant other. Hell, it could even be your pets. I know that sounds funny, but, some people, that is a great relationship. And what do they need? What are they up to? Spending more time with that. It could be yourself. Actually being curious about yourself rather than comparing yourself to other people. What that looks like is maybe spending some time in front of, I was initially going to say the mirror, because I know that's like a tough concept for a lot of people, but spending some time in areas that could potentially be a solution for things that you want in life, whether that be, knowledge gain, whether that be the gym, whether that be cooking even. I think that there's a million ways to be more interested about our lives if we stop the whole comparison of, well, what are other people up to? Or no one else seems to care about that, or that might not make me money. Whatever it may be, sometimes being integrated and finding purpose is all you need. I think I'm not going to say I think, I know for sure that when I'm moving from a place of purpose and trying to get closer to my purpose, I feel better about life. I want to be up. I want to go to things. I want to fight through things. And that purpose was built from nothing more than spending some serious time asking myself what it is I'm up to and what it is I want to be up to, what it is that I would like for myself. And then taking a true assessment of where I am, not in relationship to what I want, but just a true assessment to where I am. And then, in a third part, thinking about where I am, and then thinking about the things it is that I want, what it is I'm up to, and what it is I want to be up to, what it is that I would like for myself. And then taking a true assessment of where I am, not in relationship to what I want, but just a true assessment to where I am. And then, in a third part, thinking about where I am, and then thinking about the things it is that I want. And then I think oftentimes that gap is an easy place to start placing intention. And if you place intention in that gap, I think purpose is just one of those things that just naturally comes about. It's more like an equation than it is a magic trick or something you have or don't have. It takes focus. We'll say that. It's tough to focus with the amount of distractions as well as responsibilities that we have. But without a doubt, I know that focusing on the things that are going to get you closer to your goals from a place of where you truly are rather than a place of where you want to be or all of these things, and then taking that gap and creating a space of, I'm going to really focus on these things that could potentially create that, I do think bring about purpose. And I do think put you on a path to purpose. And I think from that level of energy and attitude, the opportunities that you start to vibrate towards, or maybe let's make it less cool, the things that you start to see are all of a sudden linked to your purpose rather than linked to staying relevant, rather than being linked to things that just aren't of you or serve you or fuel you. I guess that's my Monday moment on purpose. I also say that, some days you might really be in your purpose and other days you might not. And I don't think that you need to make it more complicated than, hey, there's 365 days in a year. If I aim, let's say last year I didn't live in my purpose at all. If I aim, you can choose a number, any number, like there's a whole 1% rule, which is a book I actually do want to read. Any number is better than the number last year where it wasn't even something that you were aware of. But let's say you shoot for 180 days plus. Let's say you shoot for 200 days. Let's say you're getting closer to 300 days. 65 different days you could, be outside of your purpose. I think that is living in purpose. I think that a lot of those days, especially if you're getting, closer to half the year, I think you're going to start to realize that some days are going to be gimme days because you're just going to be excited to go after the things that you've been up to. I think that that's not even thinking about the concepts of momentum, the concepts of compounding. I think it was like Einstein said, like compounding is like a ninth wonder of the world. He was speaking about like compounding interest rates and how that works. I believe that there's something that happens with that in life and the things that you're up to as well. And I think that's evident when you look at a lot of people that are successful. They're usually successful in more than one thing. They usually have a lot of momentum. The people that are truly successful, that is. So that's my Monday moment, I think it is, taking time to assess things, really taking time to assess yourself, taking time to assess what matters to you, what makes you happy. Could sometimes even be the easiest way to say that. And then I think it's taking a look at what it is you have in life, whether that be kids, situation, possessions. And then I think it is looking at the things that you want separately. These are all separate thoughts so far. So for me, I think, when you talk about the advantages of living a life with purpose, when you talk about, why
live a life with purpose and how to live a life with purpose, I think it really does all come down to the work itself. A lot of it can just be spoken to, but the way it's going to show up is going to be entirely different based on your actual integration to your process. I think, a process is needed because it needs to be something that's repeatable. I think that's one thing that is commonly misunderstood about living a life with purpose, is that we think it's this, one purpose that never changes. I think we believe that it has this, like, you either have it or you don't have it, some special juice to figure it out. And I really think it's none of that. I really think it is just really assessing exactly where you are and being truly curious of where you are beyond a comparison standpoint. So beyond I have this and then thinking about what somebody else has or what it means that you have that, just actually truly assessing the things that you have from a state of gratitude, from a state of I don't need anything more. What can I work with? What are the things that bring me joy? It could be something even a little bit more internal than just the things that you have. It could be something like, what fuels me? What brings me joy? What am I responsible for? Is also another great place that we commonly want to stay away from, but we can find a lot of purpose in. And then that being its own thought, moving into a second thought that looks at, what are the goals, the dreams, the visions that I have for myself? And not all of these are going to look like a rags to riches. Sometimes it's going to be, I just want a more meaningful relationship where, my daughter calls me. Sometimes it could be just wanting a better relationship with a substance, right? It might not even be something that seems so grandiose. It could just be, hey, I want to be in a space where I'm way less tempted than I am by my current substance. But truly taking time to assess that. I like to assess over different areas of life that I've deemed important to me. So that might be something that you want to include in your overall inventory exercise, is what is important to me. This helps me understand that I would probably then have goals in those areas, or things in those areas that would make me feel more whole, or like that for sure, would be, I want it to be more than just something amazing, but that looks like me at a higher playing field, or wow, having a better relationship with XYZ, which is why I start out with your own inventory, is something that would make me feel purposeful. Because what happens is we just commonly will get caught up in all the distractions of, well, even though it's not necessarily related to my purpose or the things that I have or the things that I'm up to, I want it because, it's in between that and my goals. I think it's really important to grow from your goals. Not to say that you can't have all the nice, beautiful things on the way, but I think where your focus, if your focus is in the beginning and that creates where you're headed, I think it's going to be a lot, not only more realistic, but a lot more of you. There's going to be a lot more integration in it than, hey, I'm just reaching for a bunch of things that seem nice, but I don't even know, I'm just taking other people's word for it. I'm just looking at a TV show and I see it there. So that's why I start that way. But then taking the space in between, I think treating the space between what you have and what you're grateful for and expanding upon that and treating that space with intention and treating that space with wonder and curiosity is what's really, and then also treating it with the understanding that it's going to be new every day. So like that's that curiosity piece, a curiosity, but also like an aggressive one. So it could still be labeled as curiosity, but like an aggressive curiosity for that space, and doing that every single day intentionally, I think is really, really, really is what's going to create purpose. Purpose can be created based off a situation, right? You can feel like I felt purpose last night when my girl was stuck at an airport and she didn't, if the flights were getting delayed, mudslides, all these different things, right? And I felt purpose in that moment because I understood what our current inventory was, what a goal was, what we need to have happen, and the space in between. And who, I got curious about that space. I started asking a bunch of questions about that space. I started being curious about how she was feeling. I started being curious about how her friend was. I went from I'm going to bed in the next 5 minutes to I was up basically all night. I did fall asleep, but I was up basically all night, and I was in purpose. So it could be something that small to something much, much, much larger. That could be something that almost seems inaccessible, right? And that could be, maybe you feel your purpose is something noble to be like, I feel like my purpose is to be a mother. And let's say you're past the age of where being a mother to your own child seems possible, right? Maybe you've already done the inventory and realized like that's not going to work for you. And maybe you're in a loving relationship. It's spending so much time in that inventory, spending so much time in what it is you want. And these are just like quick excuses that I'm not trying a solution for somebody. But it could look like, oh, maybe I just get a little bit more involved in my neighborhood. Maybe I get a little bit more involved. Maybe I look at adoption, right? That's like the obvious go. You know, maybe I get a little bit more involved in the relationship with other children in my family. And what a lot of people might go, well, that's not what they're looking for. And I agree. But I do think, though, that somebody that's moving from a space of gratitude for what they have and then looking at the things that they want and that they can create and looking at that without boundaries can create a roadmap where spending extra time with your nieces, while although so small, gives you so much purpose. And then being able to watch them grow up and then they call you because they need your opinion. It can be purposeful. I think purpose is like hope. I think it's everything. And I think it's continuous. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Here is my Monday moment. Happy Monday. Let's get it.